But certain laws are changing across the UAE. Nothing to be concerned about, but UAE laws to keep an eye out for in 2023. To give us more details, we are joined by the Senior Associate from Hamdan Al Shamsi Lawyers. Mohamed Nour is joining us here on Talk 100.3. Good evening and thanks for your time, Mohamed.
Thanks again for having me. Hope everything's going well.
It's going very, very well. It's that time of year where we're never quite sure what day it is. Most people seem to be on holidays. But we are enjoying ourselves, but very conscious of some of these laws that are changing in 2023. Now, this unemployment insurance scheme, it was announced that it's going to come into effect next year, but only recently it's come into effect that it's going to be mandatory. How does this affect everyone?
Well, first of all, this is mandatory, but it's very beneficial for all parties concerned. We're seeing that the Dubai Insurance Company is pooling in 9 different insurance companies, and they've given instructions on how you can register for this wonderful insurance scheme. You know, during these interesting economic times, this gives us a security blanket and gives assurances to all parties, so that all employees, so that if they do lose their job, at least there's a scheme that will at least make sure to hold them over until such time that they find new employment.
I do think this is great. I think the country's learned a lot from COVID-19. So where employees will be able to get 60% of their basic salary with a premium of 5 dirhams a month or 10 dirhams a month if they're over that 16,000 dirham benchmark. But it's only for 3 months once they involuntarily lose their job, isn't it?
Yes, that's correct. And I mean, I think that 3-month security blanket should be sufficient for employees to hopefully find new employment. There is one caveat here that I want everyone to be aware of.
Sure.
You can make the payment either monthly, quarterly, or make it one payment lump sum. But the caveat here is, even if you do make the payment lump sum, you're not going to be entitled to that coverage until you finish at least 1 year with your employer while paying this insurance scheme.
Okay, so it doesn't matter whether you've been with the company for over 12 months. Do you need to be enrolled in the scheme for 12 months in order for the benefit to be active?
That is correct. I've already had people coming and asking me, it's 120 dirhams or 60 dirhams for the year. I'm going to pay that now, and then try to get out of my job within the next 2 weeks. So at least I have that security blanket. But what people need to understand is you have to be subscribed to this plan for at least 1 year in order for you to reap the benefits.
Okay, so we could see a lot of people this time next year trying to weasel out of their jobs. Yeah. Well, let's not comment too much about that. But another law that's changing, there's a civil personal status law for non-Muslims. This federal decree law number 41 is a new personal status law for non-Muslims covering various aspects of civil life: marriage, divorce, estate, custody of children. Is this really for a lot of expatriates to feel more comfortable here in terms of a lot of their entitlements that they would generally get back home?
Definitely. I mean, we have had circumstances where, we've had divorce cases coming through our firm, and they are under the assumption that we will follow the same laws that they come from, based on the jurisdiction that they're coming from.
Sure.
But unless there's some kind of prenup or post-nup that was enforced in that jurisdiction, and then we'll have to reflect that here. But if the parties haven't signed that, for example, divorcing a couple, then we have to usually apply Sharia. And a lot of individuals, especially with children under the age of 12, are surprised to learn that the mother, for example, as per Sharia, would have absolute custody over the child, with minimal visitation rights for the husband. But under this new law, for example, we're trying to make it in line with best practice in overseas jurisdictions. So now we do have equal joint right of custody of the child until he reaches the age of 18 versus the mother just assuming sole custody until the age of 12, for example.
We're speaking with Mohamed Nour, the Senior Associate from Hamdan Al Shamsi Lawyers, about some of the law changes across the country that come into effect next year. One of the most interesting ones, the Emiratisation targets for the private sector. Now, if you're a private company in the UAE with 50 employees or more, you need to have a 2% Emiratisation target. It can be quite hard for someone to quickly change their, if they're on close to that 50 to find Emiratis to be employed, is there any sort of grace period for companies?
I think it's going to be over the next year. The implementation period is January 2023, right? But companies need to start being aware that they need to have some kind of scheme to at least onboard these Emirati nationals to hit that 2% quota if you have over 50 employees, because you will be facing a significant fine otherwise of 6,000 dirhams per month, starting from January 2023.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
So we've had instances. Yeah. Sorry.
No. You've had instances of what?
We've had instances already of firms carrying out fake Emiratisation to get these benefits, right? And so there was a case recently, just a few days ago, where people were manipulating the system, the MOHRE system, to show that they have Emirati nationals on their system, but they weren't actually there. So there are major drawbacks if they fail to do this, and MOHRE will find a way to discover individuals that are not meeting these requirements.
Yeah, I have no doubt that the ministry will be doing some random checks of businesses to making sure that everyone is complying with that law.
Exactly.
There's been a change to corporate tax, the Federal Decree Law number 47. This is based on taxation of corporations on business. Now, what does it mean that businesses will become subject to UAE corporate tax from the beginning of the financial year on June 1? Okay.
This is the one that's been keeping us, as a corporate attorney, this is the one that's been keeping us most busy right now.
So it's been good for business.
Oh, it's been great, for us at least. But I want companies to be assured that, if you're a free zone company and you're not doing any business or touching within the confines of the UAE, the law doesn't state that you're exempt from tax, but you are, potentially only entitled to 0% tax. However, there are structures in place to make sure that you are abiding by those rules. But if you are paying, if your taxable profits exceed 375,000, well, you need to be ready to pay that standard 9%. But in the grand scheme of things, 9% is relatively insignificant in relation to other jurisdictions. So this still makes the UAE a very, very fair place to do business relative to other jurisdictions.
And for anyone who might be close to that 375,000 dirham threshold, you're only taxed on 9% above on the profits you make above 375,000?
Yes, it's exceeding the 375,000. We'll have to pay that 9%.
Okay.
However, we're still waiting on more substantive decisions and resolutions to be issued by the competent authorities to fill in those blanks. With these types of laws, they usually issue the substantive law, but we wait for subsequent ministerial resolutions and cabinet decisions to fill in the blanks if there are any. So the firm is currently working on putting together a very interesting article on this, and if anyone is interested to know more about corporate tax, we are here to assist, and we'll look forward to getting any feedback.
Yeah, I think so. It's going to be a busy one at Hamdan Al Shamsi Lawyers. Mohamed Nour, the Senior Associate. We know how busy you are. We appreciate your time, and thank you for clearing up many of these law changes that come into effect.
Thank you for having me. Looking forward to speaking again.
Yeah, it's always good to have him on. He's an expert. You can tell he knows his stuff, doesn't he? Mohamed Nour, the Senior Associate at Hamdan Al Shamsi Lawyers. That is the place you need to go. And as you've heard about some of these schemes, I think generally they are a great initiative. This is really quite fair for a lot of the people that are living in the UAE. The big one, that unemployment insurance scheme, which will be mandatory. So if you're earning under 16,000 dirhams a month, you'll have to be paying 60 dirhams a year or 5 dirhams a month. However, you need to be enrolled in the insurance scheme for 12 months. So don't be thinking come April or May if something happens and you lose your job, you'll be entitled to that 60% of your basic salary for 3 months. You need to be enrolled in the scheme for 12 months in order to be eligible. TSB, Talk Sport Business on Talk 100.